Francis Brett Young was a British novelist, composer, doctor and soldier, remembered primarily for his 1924 Cold Harbour. Born in Halesowen, Worcestershire, in 1884, the son of Dr. Thomas Brett Young. He was educated at Epsom College and the University of Birmingham, becoming a doctor. In 1904, he met Jessica Hankinson, whom he would marry in 1908. In 1907, he became a ship surgeon on the steamship SS Kintock, on which he sailed to the Far East. During World War I, he served in German East Africa in the Royal Army Medical Corps, being injured and sent home in 1918. He was unable to work as a doctor as a result, and so turned to writing. From 1920 to 1929, he and his wife lived in Capri before moving back to England. As a result of his health, he moved to Montague, South Africa after World War II. He died in 1954 in Cape Town. His first novel, written with his younger brother Eric Brett Young, was the 1913 Undergrowth. His more famous works during his time were his 1927 Portrait of Claire, which won the James Tate Black Memorial Prize, and was made into a film in 1950, and his 1944 The Island, a 400-page epic poem detailing the history of Britain from the Bronze Age to the Battle of Britain. Today we will review his 1924 Cold Harbour. The book begins with a company of friends meeting on Capri. Hartley, a military invalid and now island chaplain, Ronald Wake, his wife Evelyn, and the narrator, Ronald's friend. The Wake's story is as follows. A fortnight ago they were on a trip through the Welsh marches, when the car broke down and forced them to seek an inn, and there they learned from a poor bar wench chained to an empty inn in the middle of nowhere by an old mother about Mr. Humphrey Furnival, owner of Cold Harbour, a house built upon some Roman ruins, and a man who she seems to adore and fear at the same time. Evelyn meets him by chance, and though he had known her favourite poet and supported him financially, his occasional cackling is so sinister Evelyn immediately wants nothing to do with him, which is awkward since Ronald had managed to get them both invited for a tour of Cold Harbour the next day. Furnival, a horrendous, ageless cynic with an overpowering presence, is known to the narrator as well, and his character is as vicious as it seems on the outside, despite all the excuses from the poor invalid wife he keeps shut up in his house at all times. Cold Harbour itself, especially according to the ever-ignored Mrs. Furnival, is noted to be haunted, a notion Furnival scorns at as he scorns at many things. The Wakes when visiting are haunted by his baleful influence and perhaps something much more. Furnival causes such a hatred in those who meet him that Ronald, a non-violent chap as he is, at one point says he lost consciousness of every blessed thing but an overpowering and murderous desire to destroy Furnival as he stood there. Though sadly the site's past as a Roman villa goes unexplored, and a weak attempt at explaining everything away appends the novel. However, the terrible influence, either of the place, of Furnival, or both, which can be blamed for causing such suffering to his family, is superbly done, and the surroundings being so grim, desolate and remote, make it all the more grisly. Furnival is really the only character in the book, but is a vicious bastard well worth reading for.